What's up, everyone? We are back with the most shocking news in the world of tech right now. The data that no one is talking about. Apple's market share collapse. Yes, the iPhone demand has fallen off a cliff. And to be honest, this is just the beginning. This is going to get worse for Apple in the next few quarters. We'll also be taking a look at some other brands which are finally challenging Apple like never before. So let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Starting with the brand new data from Counterpoint's research firm, we can see that the smartphone market share has gone through some major changes in Q3 of 2022 compared to last year. Well, it's not looking good for Apple. They're not on the top anymore. Samsung is still leading the market, but when it comes to the premium segment, Apple should be the leader, right? Well, not anymore. For the first time ever, Samsung has taken the lead in the US premium smartphone market in Q3 of 2022 by shipping 6.9 million units compared to Apple's 6.7 million units. This is the first time ever that Samsung has done this, which means things are going really well for them. It took them many years to achieve this milestone. On the other hand, if we take a look at the global market share, we can see that Apple is still topping the charts, but their numbers are shrinking. Samsung is right behind them. When it comes to the global numbers, Apple's shipment actually increased 8% year over year, which is not a bad number. But if we compare that to Samsung's growth, they have increased 19% year over year. That is almost double than what Apple has achieved. If we take a look at the sales for both of these brands, we can see that Samsung is on place number 1 with Galaxy A series models like crazy. It's completely dominated by Samsung, whereas Apple is doing good with the iPhone 13, iPhone 14, and then the iPhone 14 Pro lineup. When we look at the global smartphone market share, Apple was sitting pretty at 23%. But now they have dropped down to 17%, whereas Samsung has grown from 19% to 22%. Like I said, Samsung is on the top in the US market and second globally, whereas Apple is second in the US and first globally. Both of them have pretty much swapped their positions. In the US market, Samsung was able to achieve this by gaining 60% year-over-year growth in their premium smartphone category. According to Counterpoint's research, Galaxy S22 Ultra and Z Flip 4 were the best-selling models in the premium category. Now, even though Samsung is on the first place, Apple still holds the record of shipping the most expensive smartphones in Q3 of 2022. On average, the average selling price of Apple's phones is $875, which is way more than Samsung's average selling price of $577. So even though Samsung is dominating the game when it comes to the numbers, Apple is still making more money. But the sad part for Apple is that their average selling price is decreasing because of the poor sales of the iPhone 14 and the 14 Plus model. Because of these two, the average selling price would have been even lower if it was on the iPhone 14 Pro lineup, especially the Pro Max model. These two devices definitely helped Apple increase their ASP. One thing that's very important to understand here is that this is just the beginning for Apple's downfall. The iPhone 14 series hasn't been available for a long time. It's only been a couple of months. And if we take a look at the iPhone 13 series, there was a massive spike in the sales towards the end of the year. In Q4, which means a lot of people were waiting for the iPhone 14 series, which is why the sales of the 13 series dropped. But now, since those people have bought the new iPhone 14 series, in my opinion, the sales of the 13 series will drop even more now, which will bring down Apple's numbers even more. At the same time, Samsung's numbers are going to increase because of the Galaxy S23 series that they gonna now launch in February 2023, so things aren't looking good for Apple. Also, as expected, the overall smartphone market is down. There's a big decline in the sales because of the global situation, which is why many brands are lowering their production numbers. But Samsung and Apple are the only brands that are bucking this trend. Even with all the bad things happening around the world, these two brands are still managing to grow. When it comes to the worldwide sales, Apple is the only brand in the top 5 that has seen a growth. All other brands are down, whether it's Xiaomi, Oppo, or Vivo. Apple is the only brand that has managed to do better than last year. And this is what makes their performance even more disappointing, because other brands are doing even worse than them. They should have done much better. If we talk about some of the other brands, Google's Pixel 7 series has shown some promising results. This is the first time that Google has launched their flagship phone alongside with the mid-range Pixel 7a. The sales are looking great for them. Pixel 7 Pro is Google's best-selling flagship phone in the history of the Pixel line. And at the same time, the affordable Pixel 7a is also doing really well. This is the reason why Google has decided to shift their focus on the Pixel 7a, which is why they will be releasing the Pixel 7a globally. It will not be exclusive to the United States. So Google is looking very promising. Their sales are increasing, which is something that cannot be said about the rest of the industry. Oppo and Vivo are the ones that have seen the biggest declines, especially Vivo. They've dropped from 11% to 6%. It has almost dropped by half. Oppo is also down from 18% to 11%. Xiaomi is also not doing good. It's down from 17% to 13%. This goes to show that these brands need to step up their game in order to survive in this market. Brands like Realme and Huawei are already out of the top 5, which means they're struggling even more. As for Apple, they're still in the game, but they're definitely under pressure. They're no longer the top brand in the US market. They've lost that title to Samsung. And according to Ming-Chi Kuo, the iPhone 14 series is going to be their worst lineup since the iPhone 6 series. He's saying that the iPhone 14 series pre-orders are worse than the iPhone 13 mini, which was their worst launch in the past 6 years. And when it comes to the shipments, he's expecting them to be the lowest since the iPhone X, which was 5 years ago. Now, this doesn't mean that Apple is going downhill as a company, but it does mean that they're losing their momentum. They're losing their position as the top dog in the smartphone world. Oh man. This is a problem because they're no longer the innovative company that they used to be. They're not coming up with groundbreaking new features. Every year it's just the same old thing. The only thing that's different is the camera. Maybe the display and the chipset. Other than that, it's literally the same design. People are starting to notice this. If Apple doesn't change, people are going to stop buying their phones. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Now, speaking of iPhone 14, check out the unboxing of the brand new cases that Apple has launched for the iPhone 14 series. These are official cases directly from Apple. You can see all the colors. My favorite one is the product red color. I think it looks really cool. Let me know which one's your favorite. So yeah, this is the latest news. Apple is in trouble. They're no longer the top brand in the US market. Samsung has taken that spot. Things are not looking good for Apple. They're going to see a big decline in their profits next year. If you don't believe me, you can ask Tim Cook himself, because he has predicted that the iPhone 14 series is going to be worse than last year. So stay tuned for more updates. With that being said, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.